What's up, everyone? So let everyone join for the actual game. So let anyone join on this podcast for a minute. Hey guys, this is Nikhil Sai. I'm back with another amazing interview. First of all, guys, welcome to Internet Entrepreneurs Freedom Show by host me, Nikhil Sai. We are having another Chukama Club Award winner and a seven-figure business owner who helped multiple businesses scale dramatically, especially coaches, consultant, and agency owner. So if you're an agency owner or if you're someone, a coach, consultant who want to sell your high-ticket services, this guy is king of that. Like he created a perfect ecosystem for all of that. So first of all, let's welcome the actual game changer to the show. Let's welcome Sane.
Hey,
Sane,
what's
how are you
happening,
doing?
Nikhil? How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great, brother. We are glad to have you on show. How's everything going from your side?
Everything's great, man. Yeah, just here to help add some value to your audience. I'm excited to be here and just pumped at the opportunity, man.
Absolutely. We are super excited to have you on the show, Sane. And yeah, guys, just to mention, he's CSO of Sales Ascender, a seven-figure business owner. The main expertise of him is building systems and ecosystems for businesses who sell their high-end services and coaching program. So we are glad to have you, Sane. And everyone who is watching the show, please make sure to comment if you have any more questions because Sane is always ready to answer your questions. And please share this valuable information because he's going to blow up our mind through his amazing story. So let's not waste any more time, saying, please start with your backstory. Like, how did you get started? Like, what is this Two Comma Club Award story completely?
Yeah, so thanks, Nikhil. My former backstory, right? I started about 20 years ago. Before, like that was back in the end of the 90s, kind of a thing, when internet was like this big. And I was going through university. And I was in business school, so business administration, emphasizing marketing was my major. And I got to the end of my university career, and right before I graduated, I called my dad, and I said, "Hey, Dad, I got one question. How do I make a lot of money?" That's what I wanted to know, right? I mean, very simple, very straightforward. And he said to me, "Well, you got three choices." I was like, "Great, what are these choices?" Right? First, are you a CEO? And I was like, I'd heard this term CEO. I didn't know what it meant. I was like chief executive. And I was like, well, I'm 21, 22 years old. Like I have no idea what a CEO does or how they work. So that's not me. So he says, okay, great. Well, the second thing you could be, are you an entertainer? And I thought, well, I had a full ride for baseball. I could probably play baseball, but my baseball career ended. And I was like, I can't dance. I can't rap. I can't sing. So that's out. Like I'm not an entertainer. And he says, great, we only have one other choice. And I was like, great, what is this last option? He goes, sales guy, you got to go learn sales. I was like, okay, interesting. So I looked around, I found a sales job, and I got my first sales job, and I sucked. I was literally the worst ever in sales. And always growing up, like through all of the sports teams that I've always been a part of, I was always kind of on the upper half of most of these sports teams. And so when I got into sales and I sucked, and I mean, I sucked, here's my numbers, right? For my first 6 weeks in my very first sales career job that I ever took, for 6 weeks straight, I made 40 to 80 calls every day. Okay. For 6 weeks, 40 to 80 calls a day. And I booked zero. Let me say that again. I booked zero appointments.
Oh,
just rough.
That's sad.
Terrible.
Yeah,
right. It was terrible. Right. So my boss comes to me and he says, Sean, you better figure this out. So go home and figure this out because if you come back and you don't do anything next week, you're fired. And I was like, I don't want to get fired. So I run home, I call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, this guy's gonna fire me. I suck at this. Like I want to quit. And he's like, don't quit. Here's the advice: go to the library and read a book. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty logically sound. And so I went to the library and I picked up a Tom Hopkins book and started opening it and reading through it. And I was like, whoa, this stuff's profound. I've never seen any of this before. And so I came back into my job on Monday morning and I picked up the phone and my first call, I started going through this book and I was like, I'm gonna use that little thing in my call. And I put it in my call and I literally booked an appointment with my first prospecting call. And that moment, like think about the biggest release of just endorphin rush of excitement and like, oh my God, it worked. Right. And so
exactly,
like that 6 weeks of back pressure, just like I booked an appointment. And in that moment, like that full rush over my whole body, I was like, this is it. I don't care anything else in my life. I want to do this every day every minute, every hour. And I want to get so good at it that I become one of like the best people in communications on the planet. So that was my kickoff move into like how and why sales. And as I started diving deeper into the sales game, I realized that every conversation is a selling conversation. No matter what, I could prove that to anybody that has any conversation. But the more of that was fast forwarding 15 years in my journey. Between my wife and I, we spent $500,000 of our own earnings to become experts at this thing called communications. Now, this is including sales strategy, sales systems, NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming, neuroscience of selling, body language, you name it, like I've done it. I've bought the course, I've gone to the seminar, I've hired the coach, I've had lunch with some of the greatest, and literally just went through it. And I got pretty damn good at selling. And at the time, I was selling commodities, and I started earning some crazy money. And I got to a place where I wanted my own business. And so I ended up in early 2000s, like 2003, 2004, 2003, I ended up buying half or 47% of an electronics company, manufacturing company. And so I went to my company. We only started with, I had 7 employees. And over the next 4 years, I grew it to where I had 110 employees. And our revenues started at $250,000 a year in revenue. And we grew it all the way up to about $8.5 million a year in recurring annual revenue.
That's
so
awesome.
I mean, pretty big growth. And on top of that, because I'd had all this sales background, I ended up building this sales rep network across the United States where I had 1,027 sales guys reporting directly to me. So like pretty medium-sized business that was out there and doing pretty solid. And literally, I was selling business to government. So we would make these electronic circuit boards like that you would find in your iPhone or on the TV screen or computer. And we were selling to governments to help them to do things like the communication systems for the first line defenders in the field or whatever. And I happened to be working with Lockheed Martin, was one of my clients at the time. And we were building this like cryogenic laser guidance system, really technical. I knew nothing about it. I was just the kind of guy that could connect people. I had a whole team of engineers that was way smarter than me doing this stuff. And about the trip was about 2 weeks long. And about a week in, I get a call from my business partner. He's like, "Come back. There's something happening at the facility." So I go back and I run back to our operations site, and I walk into his room. And without me knowing, in less than 2 weeks, he ended up selling our entire company to another person without telling me. And I owned 47%.
Yeah, that's completely fishy. Yeah.
Fishy is the greatest term I've ever heard anyone call it, Nikhil. So thank you for that. Yeah. So it was like my attitude was like soaring because I was doing well. And then it went boom. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. That's like a very down point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it was a big business. I thought that was going to be my baby. And so fast forward.
There's a vision. Yeah. There's a vision for the business.
So I got pissed. Right. And so I was like, oh man, but I was depressed. I was like, damn it, I just built this thing and now it's gone. And I started drinking a lot of alcohol, right? And that was right at the time where my wife came into the picture and she's like, hey, listen, you should stop drinking and actually do something valuable with your life. So I was like, okay, great. She gave me that spirit, that encouragement. And I went out and I took a job selling roofing material. And I sold roofing material in the state of Nevada where it practically never rains. And I started breaking a bunch of sales records because I had the training. And then I realized that roofing people are kind of not at the top of the ethical chart, right? So they kind of lie and they cheat and they steal and they cut corners and they do. Oh, I'm sure there are some roofing people out there that are solid, but I didn't find any in my couple of years doing that. So I left. I said, no, thanks. It's not for me. And right at that time, this was about 5 years ago, my wife saw a Facebook ad. And I remember vividly, she's like, you got to look at this. And there's this little kid walking across the beach, 19-year-old kid with no shirt on. And he was screaming, I made all this money online. Yeah. I'm like, cool. So I'm like, if that little twerp can do it, I can do it too. That's what I thought when I saw this ad. And so
absolutely.
Yeah. So I get involved with this program. We went down the rabbit hole. It ended up being a MLM. So it was a direct selling company. and we were selling medical grade water systems for home use. So it was these big box looking things that kind of look like a coffee machine that would sit on your countertop and provide you this high quality alkalized water. Really amazing stuff. I love the product. And so because they had a little bit of a marketing system, I'd never been introduced to marketing before. It was that kind of period in my life where I like learned marketing or started to get involved with it. And since I had the sales stuff on the back end, I was like, okay, cool. So we went and actually built this thing out and built a really big downline for ourselves. So we had the price point was $10,500. We built a downline of 2,500 people that actually invested in this, and we built a list of 300,000 plus people that were interested. So we had a pretty big audience to look at. I mean, I would call ourselves micro influencer, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, so we were doing great. And then all these people came back to us and they're like, Sean, Melissa, Chris, your guys' software sucks. You need a software company. We're like, oh my God, like what is that all about? And so we're like, okay, we got to build a software company. And that's where this award came from. We actually built it. We spent a lot of money to build a software company. We launched it and it did $1 million in just over 10 months off a $99 offer. And again, because we couldn't credit all those sales of those machines through the back end, we actually sold about 12 million through that system. So, so we would have had the X award, but we couldn't credit those other sales to a ClickFunnels. That's how they play. That's the rules, which I like the rules. So during this time, we've been in the inner circle with Russell now for 4 years. And Russell Brunson, he says to us, he's been watching our whole journey and our struggles and our peaks and our valleys. And we're just kind of going like this and this and this. And so now if you think about what we're doing, we're running a big micro influence niche of people. And we also now have the software company. And those two things got so heavy on me and our team that I fell into this place called Burnout Alley. And it sucked. It was terrible. I hated it. To the point where I remember driving down the highway and happened to see this huge cactus. And I thought to myself, what would happen if I just drove off the road?
Oh, that's a too depressing point.
And at that moment in my life, I was like, whoa, this is totally a dark thought. Don't want to have this anymore. Need to make some changes. That was my wake up of oh man, this has got to change. And so thank goodness for Alex Sharfin, one of my business coaches, and I love dearly for every day. But Russell sees this thing happen, and we're in one of the inner circle events, and he says to us, he says, Sean, he's like, you guys hate your lifestyle, even though you're making money. You are crushing it, but you're kind of like these level 10 people stuck in this level 2 thing. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh, that's interesting to hear. And so it was the vehicle, right? So then he says to us, he's like, you need to kill your baby. I was like, wait a minute, what? You want us to kill our company? He's like, yes, you need to sell it. So okay, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We just have this company that's cranking millions of dollars and he wants us to sell it. So anyway, at that time, we went to Sharfin and we said, hey, what do we do? And he said, well, what are you guys good at? We said, sales. He said, guess what? All these online entrepreneurs kind of suck at sales. You should go ask them questions. Great.
Absolutely.
So we went and we just did marketing research. We interviewed 40, 50 people in the space where the people that we respected that were running big online businesses. And out of the end of that, there was 5 people that we decided to choose to bring on as high ticket clients. We have a high ticket sales consulting agency where our clients pay us anywhere from $5 to $30,000 a month, kind of retainer numbers every month, for us to go in there and show them how to install a sales ecosystem, hire, onboard, train really good sales professionals and let it run. That's what we do for our high ticket clients. Wow. And so we started serving these guys. It took us a year. We sold a software company, which was great. And then we started this high ticket consulting business and we started serving dozens of these guys and started having big success with the sales efforts that we were putting in place. And this whole journey, we learned something. The whole transformation that our clients needed wasn't so much how to hire, onboard, and train a sales guy. It wasn't so much closing deals, but it was this everybody that we came across didn't have a very recession-proof growth system in their business. They were missing. Every business we worked with was missing the system. And what do I mean by system? A growth system? I mean a way to consistently put the right opportunity on a calendar every day, every week, every month, automatically, without having to do launches all the time, without having to go through all the rigmarole of the ups and downs. It's literally like if you have a robust growth system that will consistently fill a calendar, now you can get into the sales conversation. And so we recognize the transformation that all these high ticket guys that we're working with needed that. So we put it in their business. Guess what happened? 100% success rate. Insane.
That's insane. Yeah, that's
insane.
Absolutely insane. I love it.
Yeah. And so as we realized this and continue to serve these guys, we're like, oh my God, we need to take this and we need to go build another arm of our business and create like a community around this growth thing because nobody has it. And so we already had, Chris, our CEO, my business partner, he's got a plethora of experience as well, just like I do. And we combined that and we created some of the greatest growth systems, greatest sales systems in the online space that I've ever come across. Again, like I said, our results speak for themselves, so I don't have to go down that path. But we decided, hey, what if we could create like a mastermind that would actually show these online entrepreneurs how to put this growth system in their business? But then not only do that, let alone like, let's show them how to outsource the labor of running it so that they don't have to do much of anything. And it just continually fills their calendar every day. Because if you think about this, and if you're an entrepreneur out there listening to me and you can open up your calendar. I mean, I'd be happy to open and share my calendar now, but it's like, because we use the same system for our businesses. But open up your calendar and look at how many appointments you have that are considered solid sales opportunities for yourself. And you're probably going to shock yourself because there's probably not that many on there, right? At least that's what does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it resembles with most of businesses out there. 90%. I think it's like 99% of people still struggle.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't know if you know the statistic, but 85%, a healthy majority of small to mid-sized businesses rely solely on referral business. 85%. Okay, so this doesn't include, think about paid ads, you got joint ventures, you got Dream 100 strategies, you got publishing, you got the organic stuff that everybody thinks that they're experts at, but they're not, right? So it's like whatever method you have, if it's not robust and systemized, like it's going to lead to this in your business rather than this. And so that's the big transformation, right? That's the big transformation. And so that's where we got to. And what I learned over the whole period, like that, like some people always ask me like, Sean, what does it take to be an amazing sales professional? And I said, there's really three things, right? So the first thing is you got to have conviction. So if we're looking at like what we're selling, what we're doing, like if you don't have conviction, 100% conviction about what you sell, knowing that you can get a result and make somebody's life better, give them time back, improve a relationship, whatever it's going to be. If you're not 100% convicted on that, here's a suggestion. Take this weekend, go sit on a log somewhere outside and think about why you're not sold on your own thing. Okay?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, you need to rework on what you have.
And because when you become sold on your own thing, it's going to be 10,000 times easier to have that conversation later, right? Absolutely. So that's the first thing. So conviction, right? So I learned this whole thing of conviction, and I was like, for example, go back into my story and we've helped all of our clients have this incredible transformative journey of here's how you get conviction in your program. Your stuff is really good. People have this like imposter syndrome, or they have this fear internally. They're like, oh man, I know I can help people, but man, like I don't know because I don't have a full sales calendar. I'll tell you one thing. When you have a full sales calendar, like your conviction level boosts because you're like, look at all these people that want to talk to me. It's insane.
Exactly. Yeah. That pre-frame is much different than what you usually have.
Yeah. And so literally that was it, right? And so then like once you have a full sales calendar, now it becomes fun. It's like you do the calls and you get with the clients, and then all of a sudden, hey, let's put a sales team in place to do that stuff for us. So now we can move ourselves out of the system. And literally that's the steps. It's really, really straightforward and simple. But so conviction was the first thing I learned. Then it was persistence. You heard in my journey, I got knocked down and then I got back up and I got knocked down again and I got back up. And like that persistency is the thing. And so everyone says, hey, you guys are like overnight successes. Yeah, we're 20-year overnight successes. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
That's dope. Yeah, that's dope. That's a dope sentence.
Yeah. So
overnight success.
What's that?
I was saying 20-year-old overnight success. It's a long journey.
Yeah. So that was the persistency we learned. And then the last thing is conviction, persistence, and then consistence. you got to get up and take swings at the ball every single day. Like you got to have at bats every day, every week, every month, every year, because guess what? Like they say it's a numbers game. I agree. There has to be some volume, but I also agree that you can only control three things. You can control your attitude. You get up every morning and you choose you're going to be happy or not, right? You can choose your actions. Are you taking the right actions to grow a business, your business? And lastly, do you have the ability to track the right numbers? Do you have the ability to get up and go to or take something and learn? Like, yes, you have control over the ability for you to track and learn. And literally that's what it comes down to. There's 4 metrics that most of the people that we work with, we focus on tracking. The first one's going to be your outreach every day. How many people are you outreaching to every day? Mm-hmm. How many times, how many calls are you booking? How many calls completed? And how many deals are closed? Very simple. So if we track those numbers every day, every week,
that's
we
a
know.
Great KPI list. Yeah, that's a great KPI list.
Absolutely. Yeah, what you track grows, right? And if you just if you focus on those numbers, guess what's going to happen? Like every design, processing, and marketing and sales are cousins that usually hate each other, but they should love each other, right? Absolutely. And here's what I mean. There's this full circle when it comes to sales. Let me just kill that so it doesn't beep at me anymore. So there's this full circle when it comes to sales and marketing. So when you get into the sales conversations, you'll start hearing words. If you're in Messenger or you're texting or you're in LinkedIn or wherever the heck you are talking to opportunity, you'll start hearing and seeing trends of stuff, of what they're saying, the words that they use and how this sounds, what this feels like. All of a sudden, the more conversations that you have, if you take that data and you look for trends of what people say and ask you, and you turn and you say, hey, marketing department, Merry Christmas, please use this language.
That will be a good pitch, right?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, exactly what the sales team is hearing, and you can literally put all those words into the marketing, which is just going to boost the bookings for your sales team, which is going to close more deals and help you grow a business.
This one is a golden nugget. This one actually is a golden nugget. Like, I'm not sure how many people are actually getting this, but this one is absolutely dope. Yeah, that sounds really cool, Sean. And yeah, but that's a long and interesting story. It was super amazing. Like, a lot of people should actually learn. They start something, they wait for 1 to 2 months without even taking consistent actions, and they're like, oh, it's not working. I should go back to my 9 to 5. I should probably do some suicidal. Like, they're crazy, right? But here you go. Like, even though you're a multi-million-dollar company being sold without your permission in a fishy way, still you never give up. And after that, even you build a multi-million-dollar company again, but you don't have freedom, you never give up again. You sold it out, you kill your baby, then you started something which you actually love, which is your core skill, which is sales. And I see how good you are at sales. It's absolutely amazing. The way you storytell is pretty awesome. It's on point. It's absolutely on point. We love it. We love it, buddy.
I appreciate it. One thing that you said, I just want to key in. I want to add something that you just said, because I thought it was really powerful, and I think people could use this in their world. So starting that journey, right? That first 1 or 2 months of just getting into visit, if you're there, there's this story that I remember about, the question is, the punchline is this, is like, are you committed or are you just interested? And so I'll pose that question to your audience, because I know that, like, this is a journey that I went through, and a lot of our clients have gone through the same journey, because, they're the hero in their story and they need to get to the end point of the flag that they've got on the top of the hill. Here's the question that if you're in that place, that 1 to 2 months just starting, and you're feeling like, hey, this isn't working. The question is this: are you interested in building a business that's going to set you free, or are you committed to doing it?
That's
Yeah, because if you're interested, you're going to fail. But if you're committed, right? If you're committed to do the work that it takes, if you're committed to show up every day, if you're committed to take the actions, and if you're committed to the long-term vision of what you're trying to achieve, whether it be a lifestyle, whether it be buying a Lamborghini, whether it be whatever, right?
Absolutely.
If you're committed to that, it's what they say in Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill is like, if you have a definitive purpose that you're focused on, and it's backed by faith and belief, and you have a plan to get there, you are committed to getting there. It might take you 10 years. It might take you 1, but it doesn't matter. If you're committed to the journey, those are the people that I look for. I look for hungry and ambitious that are literally committed to building a business that's going to change their future. And if you get to that place, like, you win every single time, you know?
Absolutely. So yeah, working with committed people still boosts up, right? So every day we'll be super motivated, pumping up, taking actions and stuff like that. Yeah, that's super interesting, Sean. It was amazing journey of yours. So let's get into the next question. As you are expert when it comes to ecosystems and building systems in a complete company, like what do you think of like a perfect ecosystem in terms of sales ascenders, especially? Like you guys are genius when it comes to building up systems for companies and especially digital entrepreneurs, because most of the people who are watching this are digital entrepreneurs. So what does it mean as a perfect ecosystem in your terms?
Yeah, so a perfect ecosystem is typically multi-channel. So it's always an and strategy, right? So some people rely on Facebook ads. Some people rely on publishing. Some people rely on Dream 100s and joint ventures. Some people rely on organic, right? I believe those are great. I believe that should be an and strategy, but the and strategy should come after you put in a robust growth system in your business that can fill your calendar. Now, if any one of those things can do it, great. That's where we should start. So without burning your bank account, right? So that's why I always talk about, hey, if you put a growth system kind of like the one we teach in a business, that becomes the foundational core, right? And you say systems for businesses, yeah, like we've done the back end stuff of the systems, but our focus of systems is really on prospecting system, sales system, and then, you know, marketing is kind of a third one after that for us. Because let's be real, like the internet, before the internet, there was still sales. Sales is actually the oldest profession, even older than prostitution. Because even in that think about that, because even in prostitution, there was an interaction, a sales interaction where one person had to sell the other one, right?
Absolutely. So, that's why every conversation is his conversation.
Yeah. And so when it comes to systems, I think that the secret is like, look at those 4 metrics. Again, is how many outreaches, how many appointments were booked, how many calls completed, how many sales were made. Now you can take those 4 things, build a system around it, right? Whether it be a Google Sheet and a document, whether it be a piece of software, whether it be whatever, right, to track. And that's that third, we call it the triple threat. It's like, what are the 3 A's you can control? Your attitude, your actions, you're taking the right actions, and then the ability to track stuff, the ability to learn stuff. And so if you start tracking a prospecting system like that, and you asked about software tools and everything else. I mean, we use for product internal management, we use ClickUp. It's one of the ones that's up and coming to manage and track a lot of our stuff that we use. We use Google Sheets and Docs. Like literally, those are the 3 tools that we use. And we try to keep things very simple. Why? Because simple works. I heard a great story 2 days ago from a guy I was talking to. He used to sail these ships, like these big old school, like pirate ships. And he was telling me he was sailing off the coast of France and he was going through and he had 15 other people on his boat. And he was the captain of this big, like old school pirate ship. He was racing this other ship. And all of a sudden, this thing broke on the front of his boat and these masts just fell down on top of the boat in the middle of the ocean. And it was storming. It was like crazy. And he said, the one thing I noticed or observed in that moment of my life, he said, people will stick to simple things. If it's something, and what he meant was like emergency response mode. When something happens, if you know there's a very simple structure of how to put your suit on and how to get off the boat, or like if it's a very simple thing, you're going to do it every time. If it's like 15 points or 20 points long, you'll probably forget. And so I learned this idea is like, hey, what is the most simple way to track your prospecting? That's the answer. What is the most simple way to track your sales? That is the answer, right? And when you can put those simple things in your business, they will stick with you forever and they will continue to grow. And of course, when you bring on other people into your business who are smarter than you in other areas, this simple system, is there anything missing? Yeah, maybe we try this or that, and just slowly start to gear and form it until you can actually really crush it.
Absolutely, buddy. That sounds really interesting. And the point here is, if you keep your systems very simple, it's much easier for you to scale. When you really complex stuff with having different processes in, then it's become much more hard for you to scale up, right? That sounds really interesting. And everyone try to keep your processes simple and straight to the point so that you don't miss it. And Sean, as you mainly focus on agencies, getting more like selling more high ticket services and that kind of stuff where you help businesses, I see a lot of agencies and coaches, consultants miss themselves in their whole business model. I mean, they don't have a right business model, they don't have a right process to actually scale their business, or even like be as a sustainable business. So where do you think these actual guys are messing up? Like, where do you think the actual problem is hidden?
Yeah, great question. And what I'll share is this, right? We all know there's kind of 5 functions of a business. So I'll go through them with you real quick. So the first one is lead generation. The second one is lead nurture, when you generate the lead. Next one, conversion. And then there's delivery to your clients. And then there's retention and resell to the same clients. Okay, so if we agree that those are the 5 functions of a business, what happened? Thank Russell Brunson for creating sales funnels. Here's what I mean. Okay, let's look at a sales funnel. What does a sales funnel do? What function does it fall into? It's going to fall into the conversion bucket, right? Because the sales funnel, you go to the sales funnel and then you buy something as a client. So that's a conversion bucket item, which is great. And then he's like, well, what's the next problem that my people are going to experience? How do you get people to the conversion page? So literally now he jumped back to generation. What does he teach? He says, publish your face off, and then start with paid ads or these other strategies and get people from lead gen into the conversion page, and then they'll buy something. So doing this, he created a whirlwind of success for himself and hundreds of thousands of other people. But in the process, he skipped this one. He skipped the nurture. So if you skip what is nurture, Sean? Well, that means when you get a lead, great. There's tons of lead agencies out there that can get you, they can claim they get you 1 million leads. But if those leads aren't quality, and further, they're not on your calendar every day, every week, every month, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's zero. It's not
right. So okay, so that's great. So then lead gen agencies, they have a place. But what the piece that most of them are missing, the most coaches are missing and messing up on, is this idea of nurture. See, because psychologists tell you this. Psychologists will say this. They say it takes 7 to 12 touches to lower the sales resistance and increase the sales acceptance. Why? Because people buy from people they like and trust. So once you get the lead generated, lead gen, your job in the nurture is to start a courtship,
building a relationship. Yeah.
And so where most of these agencies and coaches are messing up in their business is they don't have a conveyor system of nurture, is what I'd call it. So think about a conveyor belt for a second, right? We know it goes ding, 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 ding. And what if each one of these little stops on your conveyor belt was another touch point with your consumer, your client, or your potential prospect? And what if we could turn around and we could say, hey, what do I do at this step? How do I get the person from this step to this step? And we literally get very micro granular in looking at, like, what's the words that I have to say or type? What's the thing I have to achieve or deliver to get them to move from here to here? And when people start to break down selling and nurturing in that environment, it becomes very, very easy because it's systemized. Because we know, hey, if we get this person from here to here, that's great. If we're trying to take, and most coaches and agents are taking someone from here and jumping over the whole conveyor belt and saying, hey, did they buy my stuff or not? Right? And there's nothing in the middle there. So we're the lead nurture guys. Like, we're experts at it. We've been doing it for thousands. Like, we have word tracks and this conveyor belt thing just completely ironed out in a system. It's bulletproof. And literally we've tested and proven it with thousands of case studies. We have thousands of people that have gone through our stuff and just like hit tremendous results at the end of it, simply because that's the thing that they're missing. It's that lead nurture element. So that's what I would answer your question, is like, they're messing up because not their fault though. It's very important. It's not their fault they're messing up on this, is because a superpower like Russell Brunson and his whole squad created a void in the marketplace. And they fed this idea into people's heads. And then it's like, oh man, but what happened to lead nurture? So that's why we're here to remind you, lead nurture is so valuable.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, like, a lot of people are still doing the same thing. They're doing cold emailing, cold calling. They just call and they just want to sell their stuff, not even asking about what is their situation, not even checking if the product really fits in their current situation or not, even if their service fits into their situation or not. They start selling without even realizing if they need it or not, right? And that totally pisses off the actual customer or the potential customer, right? That totally makes sense. So lead nurturing is super important. And 5 keys which you mentioned is exactly what you need to scale to 7 figures and really beyond that level as you're doing it right now. That sounds really interesting, buddy. And as you already know, even if some people are trying to do this stuff, even including lead generation, lead nurturing, and still stuff like that, a lot of people miss at this point, which is high ticket. They charge super low. They don't know what to charge. They're confused. And you are a kind of god of high ticket sales, according to me, because already been multi-millions in this industry. So what do you think? Like, how can a service or a business can shift their business model into a high ticket program or high ticket service?
Yeah, the very easy and simple answer. Again, I'm a simpleton. That's why I believe in simplicity. And what I would say that is secret is a 10x return. And that's what I would say. So like if you already have a product and service that's out in the marketplace, design a period of time that you can look like, say for example, somebody came and worked with you for 12 months. And then they did everything you said from day one until the end of 12 months. At the end of 12 months, what would the result be? Now that result can be measured. It's tangible. It can be measured in dollars. It can be measured in impact. It can be measured in lifestyle. It can be measured in a lot of different things. But I'm a big believer that if that's the 10x result that we get somebody, divide that result by 10, and then that becomes the starting price point for your stuff. Right. So say, for example, like, we just were with one of our high ticket clients last week, and they're doing about $10-12 million a year in revenue. And they're like, man, we just keep hitting the ceiling. We can't get further than this and further than this. And so what we showed them is the infrastructure of how to build a sales ecosystem. And then we put numbers to this ecosystem and what it was going to look like in 12 months from now. We gave them a pathway. We gave them a pathway to get to $30 million, which is awesome. Right. And so now they have a runway to get there. So if I know that I can take a company from 10 to $30 million, that's a $20 million opportunity cost. And if I divided 20 million by 10, I could probably charge that $2 million and be happy with it.
Absolutely. Okay. And they'll be super happy to give that as well.
I mean, let me ask you a question, Nikhil. If you had a $10 million company and you work with me, and then I showed you in 12 months, you're going to have a $30 million company. That delta's 20 million. I made you 20 million. Would you be willing to pay 2 million for it?
Absolutely. I'll be super happy to pay, right?
And that's the secret, right? So, and then you just scale that down. So it's like, look, I can show you how to get your first 10K month. Okay, cool. What's 10,000 in 30 days? That's the time frame. That's the result that I can get you if that's what you say. What's 10,000 divided by 10? Well, your course should be 997. That's why that price point works so well. Everybody's looking to get a $10,000 month, $10,000 a month. Well, what should the investment be to get there? $1,000. Because again, same question. Look, if you're at zero and I can help you get to 10,000 in 30 days, would you be willing to invest 1,000 with me?
Absolutely, they will. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Absolutely. So whenever you're selling or creating an offer,
so I just say, like, the answer to this question is like literally looking at the end goal of what's the results you get somebody, divided by 10 in the time frame, and that should be your price.
Absolutely. That was a masterpiece advice. So don't dwell with your customer. Don't ask them how much they have. Don't ask them like what should you actually ask them, right? Don't dwell in that situation where you need to take your prices up and down. Be consistent with your results. Let's say if you're providing a service or product, and guess what? Like estimate how much you are going to probably make them in return, even if that's time freedom, location freedom, money, relationships, anything. It could be anything. Just see how much does that worth. Let's say if that's worth $100,000, you can easily charge them $10,000. As Sean mentioned, it was a great advice. Anyone who's watching this, who want to sell your coaching program, offer a service, product, anything, just follow this simple rule. See how much does it worth and charge by 10. That's it. It's a crazy answer. I love that, Sean. I'm really enjoying the conversation, and I feel the momentum with you, man. I love it.
Awesome.
Buddy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Sean. Let's go into the second question, and this is a question. So, how do you deal the challenges when it comes to scaling? Because, like, you are dealing, like, speaking big companies, like a lot of people still have the dream of even imagining themselves by running that companies, right? So you're scaling that kind of companies, and you know how a scale will really be. Like, you've gone through the process, you've gone into the sort of rush and stuff like that, right? So what are the main challenges when someone tries to scale and actually set up the fulfillment system? Like a simple advice.
Yeah, simple advice. I believe in 3 buckets. I believe in a done for you bucket. I believe in a done with you bucket. And I believe in a do-it-yourself bucket. So if we have 3 buckets, how do we deal with challenges in scaling for fulfillment? Now, if you're just getting started, the only place, the best place, the place that you should really highly consider starting is done for you, meaning you trade your time for their dollars. It means you get in there and you learn the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, the intricacies of everything going on in that business, and you get them a result in a period of time. Okay. Now, once you've done that several times, dozen times, now we have a little bit of an idea of the messaging that we need to use. We create a done with you. Right. So now we're going to create some sort of a done with you. Now, like when we first got into this, when I learned this, we had a big model. We had a model problem because we were in this place where we were running our high ticket agency and we had done for you clients. Those are the only ones that we took. And it was one-to-one service and it was hunt and kill. And that's the opportunity that we have in front of ourselves. And we recognize that our capacity, right? The challenge in scaling is capacity and we only had a capacity to serve this many clients at one time in a high ticket capacity. Well, unfortunately, that was taking too much time and it wasn't giving us enough money, but more so it wasn't generating the free time that we wanted to live our lifestyle with. So at that moment, I was like, what is this problem? We kept hitting our head against the wall over and over and over. And it was like, we could build a course. Yeah, people build courses all the time. If we don't know what's going to go in the course, we don't know if it's going to sell. So it's like, shoot, how do we do this? So it's literally like we needed to figure out a done with you model. Done with you model that I fell in love with is the mastermind model, right? And especially if you have a software as a service, or if you have, I mean, there's the mastermind model is like dead on ringer for agency, dead on ringer for SaaS companies, dead on ringer for coachings, consultants, all those types of people. That's why we fell in that space, because we understood if we could execute on a mastermind at a very high level, done with you, what does that do for us? It eliminates the time that we have to spend with the one-on-one. It gives us an opportunity to make some cash flow and film something that's going to be valuable for a group, which in then turn could be repurposed into a course. So we're actually getting paid to film the do-it-yourself version when we're doing the done-with-you version.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah. So literally, like, you run the mastermind, you record the thing. And then that mastermind model is going to be a little bit less expensive than your done for you. Done for you is time for money, so it's always really expensive. Done with you, you can actually leverage economies of scale and charge less. And then do it yourself, you can charge less because it takes less of the entrepreneur's time.
Yeah.
I would always say that the speed of your business is dictated by the capacity of your system.
I agree.
Is dictated by the capacity of your systems. So if you only have fulfillment of 5 here's a fatal flaw that a lot of solopreneurs fall into. You ready for this one? This one's going to be heavy. So they'll get involved and they'll go get themselves 4, 5, 6, 10 one-on-one clients. And then what do? I can't worry about sales and prospecting anymore because I got to do fulfillment. So what happened? They're doing prospecting and sales work, prospecting and sales, and they got full boat. And they're prospecting and sales now do this. So then guess what? When those 4, 5, 6, 10 clients are gone, what has to happen? Nikhil has to go in and put tremendous amounts of energy, effort, conversation, all this other stuff to pick up another 10 clients. It's this whole concept of like fair weather entrepreneurship. It sucks. I hate it. I fell into it. And I hate other people going through that journey because it's not a good one. And it's so easy to
happen with most of people. Yeah, it happens. Like, that's a small mistake, but people will fall off momentum, right? When they get a lot of people on plate, boom, they feel like they never need any more leads. They just get into the fulfillment. I've done this earlier, and now I'm not doing it anymore because I learned from the mistakes, right? I'm constantly prospecting and getting more people into the pipeline, continuously getting appointments. But before that thing really happened, not only me, I've seen coaches, consultants, and other agencies being through the same strategy. And this is the simple answer. Never stop prospecting, guys. Never stop prospecting.
That's it. And better yet, have a system that prospects for you that you have very low touch in. Because
that's a smart way.
I believe, here's what I believe, right? I believe prospecting is so high value. Would you agree that prospecting is super high value for any company?
And not a lot of people will actually believe that.
Okay. So if you don't have prospecting in your business, how do you find clients? That's why I said
that's where the problem is. A lot of people still stuck.
Here's what I say: high value, but it's low skill. Okay, so if it's a low skill thing, but it's really valuable to the company, does the entrepreneur need to spend their high skill brain set doing a low skill activity? No. So have a prospecting system that you've outsourced labor to a low skill labor person, for example, a virtual assistant, to run a high value thing in your business. Because if you have that running all the time, guess what? Your pipeline is going to be full. You're not drained from doing the prospecting, which some people think could suck, but it doesn't suck. It's like that's the lifeblood of every business. And literally now you can just continue to fill up your business.
Absolutely. That sounds really interesting, Sean. It was a great answer. And as you mentioned earlier, anyone who is looking to scale, first of all, start with the done for you, because that's how you can go to the rashes and understand the whole process or the system or the core offer. Then you do it with someone else, like helping them to do it with your expertise. Then you actually shoot the whole content and create a do-it-yourself. That's an amazing plan. And Sean, this is for you, and I'm very sure you're going to answer this in a very good way. 5 ways to never run out of leads. Like, because I've seen a lot of businesses, they always go into the rush of fulfillment, or they always struggle. They say like, yeah, I'm doing ads, but the cost per lead is super high. I'm trying this, I'm trying that, but leads never come in, right? Even if they come, they're not qualified. Like, what do you say, like a 5 ways where you can never run out of leads? Like, I believe there is a complete system all behind it.
There's only one. You only need one. Right. I'll just make it. I don't like 5. The reason I don't like the number 5 is because it's overwhelming to have to do 5 things. Right.
Yeah. You should keep it simple. The key is simple. Yeah.
One thing is not overwhelming. So here it is. Reach out to 3 to 5 new people every day. Start conversation every day with 3 to 5 people. Guess what'll happen? Your business will grow every time, and you'll never run out of leads. Right.
That was indirectly a great answer. I'm not sure how many people are getting this. That's a great answer. So you're slowly building up that momentum of having conversation with new people. So a lot of people will slowly turn out to a potential client and end up paying us, right? That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So just remember this, right? Remember this, right? So, I mean, you look at all the records in baseball. Babe Ruth had the most, or like some of the best home run record of all times. But he also has some of the highest strikeout record of all times. So he gets the flash, he gets the pizzazz, but the psyche that's working on him is like strikeout, home run. If you try to run a business with the mentality of hitting a home run every day, you'll fail. Base hits win championships. Base hits win the World Series. So what do we got to do? We got to do base hits in our business. What does base hit mean? Reach out to 1 person, 2 people, 3 to 5 a day. Start a conversation about a potential problem that you would solve for them because you think they might be a fit for a problem you could solve for them. Ask them a bunch of questions and figure it out. Nurture, right? Like have those touches, those touch points, 7 to 12, because when you have 3 to 5 new opportunities every single day coming into your business, literally, how long does it take to reach out to 3 to 5 people? Literally 15 minutes max.
Less than that, actually. Yeah. You can just go into Facebook and just check out the suggestions and you can reach out to them, right? It's as simple as that.
Yep. That's totally right. And that's the secret. That's why I say that. Like it's literally, that's it. That's the answer.
Absolutely. That's a great one. And Sean, I think you have already mentioned about your tools that you use into your system. But yeah, just in case if you have missed anything, like what are the tools or systems you use to manage things, manage your team, manage lead generation and the nurturing, everything? Like what are the tools you can mention?
We again tried to simplify because we had a bunch of different things. We've tried Pipedrive and Asana and all these other things that everybody else probably had tried. Like we've tried Airtable, we've tried Sheets and Doc, we've tried all of it. But I think what we did is we looked for an organization that's investing heavily in like building out some of the back end. So ClickUp is the software that we're using to manage not only our sales pipeline, also our business management systems and some of the other things that we have on board. So ClickUp is the one place that we go for pretty much everything that guides our ship on a day-to-day basis. We also we use some tracking in Google Sheets, and we have some word scripts on Google Docs. And those are literally like the 3 tools that we've built We've built 4 different businesses to 8 figures with those 3 tools. Pretty sure everybody else can, you know what I'm saying? It's like anyone could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys who are saying excuses that you don't have right tools, listen to this guy. This guy built 8-figure businesses using Google Docs, Google Sheets, and simple ClickUps. So
Here's
no
another one.
excuses, guys.
Apple Computers runs their entire organization off Google Sheet, Google Doc. Didn't know if you knew that.
I'm not sure. I never knew this. That's an amazing news. Actually, that's a great, suggestion. Everybody, no excuses right now. You can just use Google. It's already on your computer. It's already on your phone. Just start using it, right? Use it in the right way. That's a great thing about the technical stuff and your background about your business, Sean. Now let's get into some personal suggestions. Like, what would be your one suggestion to a 20-year-old you or someone who is young right now? Like, what would be the number one suggestion?
For business or personal?
Yeah, both. You can explain both because you are amazing answer.
Thank you. So personally, if I had to like write a letter to my 20-year-old self, I think the only thing I'd put in that letter is just know that everything is going to turn out okay.
Yeah, it will be overwhelming always, right?
Because the worry leads to stress. Stress leads to a bunch of bad habits. Bad habits turn into loops and spirals that literally can kill people. And so if I had just known back when I was 20, is like, yeah, man, you have ambition to conquer the world. Totally. I still do. But I was always freaking out about where's this next opportunity going to come from? What's going to happen? Like always looking at the back of the time, I used to call it the map of darkness. Like you're just looking at a dark screen, right? Like you don't know where you're going. But if I just told myself like, hey, everything's going to be okay. You're going to be just fine. I think that's great advice, especially in these times. These times are crazy right now, right? Like this COVID stuff is a nonsense. It's crazy. It's taking over a lot. It's bad. It's a real thing. And it's like, just know that everything's going to be all right. And so that would be the one piece of personal advice I'd give myself. In terms of business advice, I would say, because I personally struggled with this, you have permission to play in your lane. Meaning, I guess let me unpack that a little bit, because a lot of people, when they're in a solopreneur or starting a small business, they wear a bunch of different hats, right? They're doing everything. So they're the CEO, and then they're the tech guy, and then there's this guy. In the beginning, you have to be that way, right? But the secret is where your focus lies, is you have to know the lane that you need to ultimately stay in and run in. And even if you can't start in that lane, figure out how to outsource everything around you until you can get into that lane and go fast. Like my superpower literally is having a conversation and helping people get clarity on problems that I think they might have in their business just from what I hear. And when I can help them describe a problem that they don't even think that they have until they realize like, holy cow, I do have this problem. Listen, here's another secret, a pro sales tip. If you can describe the problem that you solve better than anybody else, automatically you will win business, because those people's mindset, again, in the neuroscience of selling, if you can describe the problem best, those people are going to immediately think you have the answer to solve the problem the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a great sales tip, actually. Yeah. That sounds really interesting.
So that's what I would say. Yeah. Like everything's going to be all right, and it's okay to play in your own lane. Yep.
I believe 90% of people are already in the phase of overwhelming, like still in the stressing state, right? A personal advice, everyone, you should give your personal advice right now, right? Because you don't need to be feeling bad after 20 years, right? So you should be okay right now. Everything is going to be great. And the business advice was also amazing. Just be consistent of what you're doing. And yeah, buddy, you have done a lot of shit all the way, right? You've been into this industry from 20 years, crazy stuff, multiple awards, 8-figure businesses, scaling businesses like crazy. But like, I would like to mention, like, what are your biggest achievements right now, or any big next goals? Like, what are you looking at? Like, what's your vision right now?
Yeah. So, biggest achievement, I would say, is marrying my wife, the love of my angel, Monster. Her nickname's Monster, but her name is Melissa. That's number one, the biggest achievement of my life, and it will always be. Because that girl has saved me more ways than I can count. And she's led me into a place and allowed me to run on my journey and go in the direction I want to go, and just been a great supporter. So she's my biggest achievement for sure. Behind that, I would say, I mean, we've had some pretty mega business successes. The next bigger goal for us is to literally scale our business to 8 figures. We're working on that now. And then selling an 8-figure business with a 5x multiple is something that sounds really fun to me. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you had a software company and you spent a year, 5 years, 10 years, say your price point was $297 a month, so $300 a month, and you spent however long it took at that 300 price point to get a result for people and help them on their journey and hit the transformations that they're looking for. If you could put 1,300 people into a software that pays your business $300 a month, that's an $8 million annual recurring revenue model. And a 5x multiple means you could go sell that in the market openly for $40 million. So like that's how that would work, right? And that's just a software model. I'm not talking about info products, coaching, or any other stuff you could throw on top of it to boost the multiple. But yeah, so what are we doing with the sales ascenders? We're not looking to exit. But I can tell you that we're under development of our really robust software product that we're coming out with. It's our, we learned a lot from our first run through building a big software. We figured out how to do it really efficiently this time. And so I'm excited for the results that it's going to allow our clients to get day in, day out, week in, week out. Yeah. So we're going to grow that thing, get it to a big user base, and then just keep growing it. And then if somebody comes along and says, I want it, I'll entertain that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really interesting. And it's a great vision. I mean, the numbers you're speaking about are super huge. I love it. And I'm looking forward to see the huge success from your side. And Sean, would like to learn from your mistakes as well. Like, what was the biggest mistakes in life which you regret? Like, oh, like what I've done this wrong. I should be doing this another way, like something like that.
Biggest mistake. Yeah, I would say the biggest mistake I made in business was it's something that I couldn't control. It was out of my control, but it wasn't. When I invested in that electronics business, I didn't write it out on paper. So even though I owned 47% of it, I had a very loose leaf piece of documentation saying I owned this much of the company. And unfortunately, it didn't hold up in the sale. It didn't hold up in anything else. And so for me, I think business-wise, that was probably the number one biggest mistake that I did ever make. Is like, even though everyone agrees and it's a handshake and a hug, it's when that time or that conversation gets difficult. If you don't have it, the secret is to agree on outcome if things go poorly when you guys are in a good mood. And if you can write that down on a piece of paper when you're in a good mood, when the bad mood comes and it's time to split or sell or whatever, like, hey, we agreed to this when we're in good mood. Like, this is what we should do. And like the plan's already dialed it, And so I would say my biggest mistake. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is so interesting. And everyone should actually learn from this a lot, right? Don't just say it with words and don't just invest. You should be having that on document, no matter what. Even if that's 0.01% stake, just put it on the paper, right? That's interesting. And buddy, nothing to worry. Actually, you built a 9-figure mindset right now. You're awesome. You're awesome. Like, you learn from those mistakes and you have a 9-figure mindset. That's awesome. And I guess your wife is the number one priority here, but who are the main inspiration or key persons involved in your success?
Yeah. So first, my wife. She's the one that gets me up and get going every single day. She's the one who gives me motivation to be better, be myself. My dad, my mom, definitely huge inspirations. I watched, growing up, I started pushing a broom in my dad's shop when I was 7. And I learned from 7 until I was about 16, this idea of work ethic, because I saw my dad busting his ass for 100 hours a week. And I felt like it took away from me because I didn't get the time with my dad, which was more important than any dollar. And so like for me growing up in that period is like, I learned work ethic from him. And I always kept that in the back of my mind. But at the same caveat, I was like, listen, my wife, like I will always, she comes first, and our cats and like our friends and family, we don't have any kids. But the idea is that I never want to be that person that can't afford the time. And here's what I'll share with you. Everybody on the planet has all the time there is. Let me say that again. Everybody on the planet has all the time there is. 24 hours in a day, we all have the same amount. So when somebody comes to you and says, I don't have time to take a call, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time, you have a time management problem. sorry, it's not my responsibility, right? So it's like, yeah, if you can't manage your time, that's on you. You need to get some coaching in that area, because literally, like, if you say that, that's on you. It's not on anybody else. And so to answer the question, I guess I would say mainly my wife, my dad, my mom, and then of course all the coaches. I can't ever. I mean, like Tom Hopkins was a big influence. There's a guy named David Sandler, Steve Brooks. Let's see. Then we get into the online space. There's so many coaches I've had in there. Like, I am forever in debt to Russell Brunson. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with that guy, and literally he's returned millions to me. So it's like, that's insane. Alex Sharfin, I've spent tens of thousands with that guy. He's returned millions to me. Like, I mean, it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, you can't really, I could name a whole bunch of people, like all the Inner Circle family at ClickFunnels, like that group of people are world-class people. Like, it's just, we were so lucky enough to get invited to join that group, simply because like at the time we were kind of like little peons. Yeah, we'd made some cash, but it was, those guys are, elephants in the room. You walk in there and you feel this big. It's like, dang. So a lot of those people have had a lot of influence on some of the stuff that we've had in our world. But I would say, and then of course, I think the other main inspiration is almost more than my wife. My wife's number one. I would say my clients. Our clients are members that have gone through our program, to see their transformational journey, and for them to hit that flag at the end, like, that is just like, it just gives me chills thinking about it right now. And I'm just like, damn, I've literally coached thousands of people in this space to big results. And when they come back to me, like, Sean, it was all worth it. Like, kind of what I just said about Alex and Russell, like people that are saying that about us, like, that's inspirational to me. Like, holy cow, Sean, you helped me so much. Chris and Sean, the Sales Ascenders movement, like, it helped. Yeah. So it was just, I think clients are a big part of that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It pushes you to a whole another level, right? It makes you skyrocket your business, and absolutely, but that totally makes sense. And the conversation when you sit with winners is completely different. Like me speaking to you, it's a whole different conversation. We are learning a lot, but thanks for your complete answers and honest answers, actually.
Sure.
And so interesting answer. Like, where can my audience find you mentoring? Like, do you have any offer or something like that where people can connect on a deeper level with you to build up their systems and get more sales, like actually case sales ascender?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So we have a very elite Facebook group. It's called the Sales Ascenders Inner Circle. And if you are that person that sells business to business, or you're a sales pro or an entrepreneur wanting to get better, coach, consultant, agent, whatever, get an invite into our group. It's free to get an invite. We're very particular on who we allow in there. In fact, all the people that we personally reach out to and invite, we have a pretty thorough vetting process. Like, we watch people online socially for a couple of months before we even send them an invite. So it's very formalized. And then when we have the right person, so we look for movers and shakers in respective industries that can join our network. We're building a movement right now to rally behind the lost art of prospecting and sales. And if you truly want to get good at these skills, once you get invited into our Facebook group, guess what? We speak with every single person that comes into our group. Why? Because I know that we can probably help in one way or another, whether it be business-wise, great. But it's not about cash for us. It's literally, we're building a movement. We have our high ticket agency that pays us every month. That's fine. But like our community are just literally the best of the best online entrepreneurs. And we're growing and moving and shaking trees right now. And people are starting to take some pretty big notice. And so if you're in that place where you want to truly have that experience of like, oh, I understand that I might have a lead nurture problem in my business, this is the place. This is the time. Jump into our inner circle. Just get an invite. Just go to facebook.com/group.
I'll drop the group link. Yeah, I'll definitely drop the group link after the conversation. So thanks for inviting, guys. So whoever is watching, just go and try your luck. And I'm glad that I'm in already. Thanks, Chan, for adding me in. But yeah, hopefully you'll be also added. There's a ton of value. Like, this guy will actually drop value bombs, like regarding high ticket sales and stuff like that. I've watched multiple videos of him. That's amazing. No, so everyone, I'll drop the group link in comments so you can probably join after the conversation. So Sean, before we conclude the conversation, do you have any last words for the people who are actually watching this?
I would say everything's going to be all right. I would say if there's one thing that you take away from this whole conversation today, is start conversations every day, 3 to 5 of them. because
Absolutely.
if you are trying to grow a business, that will grow your business, guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
And whether it leads to a new client, whether it needs a relationship that becomes a joint venture, whether it leads to getting on a podcast like this. And the last thing I'll say is, Nikhil, I want to just commend you in what you're doing. I think more people need to do what you're doing. Why? Because you're getting your chops, you're building your voice, you're growing a movement, a tribe around you that rallies
Thanks for
behind
that.
you. And I think the world is a dark place right now, and it's people like you that lift others up. And when you can continue to lift others up, guess what happens? Like great things. And so be the voice that everybody looks up to and wants to be around, because when you can be that, like, you win. And so I just say, like, always stay positive and move in the right direction.
Yeah, that's amazing, and thanks for the kind words, Sean. It really means a lot, and and you are the most positive guy I've ever heard. I definitely mean that you're super positive, and I love it. And again, Sean, thanks for joining us. It was a great opportunity. I'll be looking forward to speak to you and probably have you again on an interview very, very soon after you hit much more milestone. So thanks for the complete golden nuggets which you delivered, and probably most of my community will be also trying to join your community, and you
Great.
can pick them up. Yeah, we'll be looking forward. Thanks for interview, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. Please share this amazing guys value bombs wherever you can, right? So that people can actually learn from the mistakes and the wins that Sean actually mentioned. So yeah, guys, I hopefully enjoyed the conversation. So we'll be looking forward for the next interview.